What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video of Barbecue with Barry. Today we are doing some pork spare ribs on the propane grill using a smoke tube. Let's get started. So before I got my smoker, I wanted to kind of make some low and slow ribs on my propane grill. That was all I had. I started looking online at some articles, videos, that sort of thing. A lot of people were using this thing called a smoke tube, which you can pick up on Amazon, multitude of different places, but I picked mine up on Amazon. Basically what this is you get it, fill it with pellets that you would use in a pellet grill, light it, and it stays lit for probably 4 to 5 hours, depending on kind of where you place it on your propane grill. But I got one of these, started cooking some ribs, and was really happy with the results. Before I was like, hey, I want to, get a smoker, something a little bit better and a little more cooking space because my propane grill is fairly small. But these are great. So today I'm going to show you how I used to use this and my propane grill to make some awesome spare ribs. So let's go ahead and start by cutting these open, removing the membrane and any excess fat that we see that we don't want on here. All right, now that we got these out of the package, what I like to do, you see this flap right here, go ahead and trim this off. It just usually just burns up when you're cooking it anyway, so. And you can save this to grind and make sausage, really anything you like. So now we can go ahead and start removing the membrane here. Really the easiest way to do that is to kind of get under it with a butter knife and use a paper towel to kind of pull it off. And you don't have to remove the membrane if you don't want to. A lot of people will just take their knife and just score the top of it in order to kind of break it up and let it kind of cook more. I like to remove it. A lot of, Texas style barbecue restaurants won't remove it. They'll just kind of score it, but they're also doing, hundreds of racks of ribs. I'm only doing one, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And usually the best place to go is kind of in between two bones that you see. And I will say the membrane is a lot easier to remove on baby backs than it is to remove on full spare ribs or St. Louis ribs. All right, now that we got our membrane removed, we can go ahead and start kind of trimming this thing up. Usually I like to trim off this little short bone on the end here, and then there's this flap right here of really, really thin meat. I'll usually go one bone in and then cut off that as well. All right, now that we got the membrane removed, we also removed kind of a bone on either end. Well, a bone on this end, one little bone on this end, and that flap that was kind of hanging off. Go ahead and kind of I like to make all my edges kind of rounded. Just helps when it's cooking. to kind of not have any ends burn up. Same way you would a brisket or anything like that. Go ahead and put this to the side so I don't ruin my knife cutting on metal. Move it onto here. And you can kind of trim as much or as little off as you would like. But the less you trim, the more you have to eat. So we're not going for a competition style rib. So now one thing you want to look for when you're kind of trying to pick out ribs is this rib's got a lot of, intermuscular fat down here, the striations of fat through here. That's kind of how I pick out my ribs. Fat is flavor when it's rendered properly. So, you want to rib with some fat on it. So that way you got some more flavor in there, juicier, that sort of thing. We're going to go ahead. I'm going to use some mustard as a binder on here. Go ahead, throw a binder on it, and then we'll get it seasoned up. I like to put them on kind of one of these pans. That way I can throw it in the fridge on the pan. It doesn't take up as much space as this cutting board does. So go ahead and we'll start on the bone side. Now you don't have to use a binder, or you can use some other options are, warm water, oil, apple cider vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, really whatever you like. And today I'm going to be seasoning with some 16 mesh coarse black pepper. And then also I have Heath Riles Competition Barbecue Rub in here. I buy the 2-pound bag, so that's why I use this kind of container for it. It allows me to hold a little bit more than the normal size bottles do. So we'll start with the pepper. I like to start with the black pepper first. It's a lot heavier kind of seasoning. So put that on there first and then go on with the Heath Riles Competition Rub. It's a little lighter to kind of fill in the spaces. Go ahead and pat that in. And we'll flip them over and do the other side. And we'll throw it in the fridge to let that seasoning adhere. All right, so while our ribs are getting sweat out with that seasoning, let's go ahead and fill up our smoke tube. All right, now that our smoke tube is full of pellets, let's go ahead, get this lit, let it start to burn, and then we'll throw it on the grill. All right, now that we got it lit, we'll go ahead, let it sit and kind of let that flame burn out and let those embers get a little hot. Now with our propane grill, I only have this burner on. It is on low. This burner is completely off, and our temperatures are hovering right in between 250 and 275 degrees. Now, as long as you keep your temperature in between 250 and 300, that's pretty much a safe spot to be in when you're doing those ribs on the propane grill. I like to try and be around 250, but it's tough to get an exact temperature when you're just kind of going off a burner, whether it's low or high. So we're right at 275, right where we kind of need to be. Let's go ahead and check on those ribs. All right, as you can see, our ribs are nice and sweat in. Let's go ahead, throw them on the grill. All right, as you can see, we got our water pan over here, our smoke tube. Let's go ahead and throw on our ribs. Now, how you put these on the grill is how they're going to cook, whether it's this propane grill, pellet grill, a smoker. So I like to kind of push the ends of them together just to bunch them up nice. have nice straight lines. So we'll let these sit on here, probably come back and check them in about an hour, maybe spritz them with some water and apple cider vinegar. But yeah, let's close this down and let these cook. All right, so we're about an hour and a half into our cook here. Let's go ahead and check these ribs. You can see the grill's right in between 250 and 300, so it looks like we're running right around 275. Let's go ahead and see how these are doing. So looks like this side, this burner being on this side's a little bit hotter than the other side, so I'm going to go ahead and rotate these just so we can get some more even cooking. So we're in the 150s on this side that I just flipped over. Looking about 160 over here. So we'll go ahead, let this side continue to cook. Once they get up to about 165, 170 degrees, we're going to go ahead and wrap these. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but one of the great things about the smoke tube is it usually will produce smoke for anywhere from 4 to 5 hours. Just depends on kind of where you have it. I've noticed if I have it over here over the burner, it tends to run a little, not 4 to 5 hours, probably 3 to 4 maybe. So I kind of have it right here. The burner stops for this side right over here. This side is completely off. So go ahead, shut this down and let this continue to cook. All right, just went and checked these. As you can see, reach an internal temperature of 165, a little bit higher in some spots. So we're gonna go ahead, take these off and put these in some aluminum foil and get them wrapped up. Now that our ribs have reached an internal temperature of 165 degrees, our bark is set on there nice. You can see it's not wiping off. We're gonna go ahead and get these wrapped up. I'm gonna do the classic, what I like to call classic method of using brown sugar, parquet butter, and some honey when I wrap these up. So let's go ahead, get that laid out, and let's wrap these up. Go ahead and lay down some brown sugar here. Followed by some honey. And then some parquet squeeze butter. Lay these down. We're going meat side down, so our bones are back here. Do a little bit more butter on the back side here. Some more honey. And just a little bit of brown sugar. Now, we're wrapping these up. I like to bring these two, the end closest to you and the end furthest to you together. Then what we're going to do is kind of pinch them. Make sure you got it good and tight. Fold this over like that. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Then we will go ahead, throw these back on the grill. We're going to go exactly like this, so the meat side down towards the burner. Let these come up to temperature right around 207, 208 degrees. Then we'll pull them off, let them rest for a little bit, and slice them up. All right, let's go ahead and put these back on. Now at this point, the water pan and the smoke tube don't really matter. You can either choose to remove them or keep them in there. I like to keep at least the smoke tube in there. Just let it smoke out the rest of those pellets. I'm not going to use them for anything, so let them clear out, and then we'll come back and check them in about an hour. All right, so after we last checked these, wrapped them up, I went ahead and put a probe in these so that we could monitor the temperature. You can see we're right at 208 degrees. Today's cook kind of went a little quicker than I thought it was going to. You can see we're running at 275 degrees, probably at grate level. It's a little bit warmer than that, probably closer to 300. So these ribs have been on for right around 3.5 hours. Let's go ahead, take these off, let them rest, and we'll see you on the inside. All right, we just took our ribs off. Let's go ahead, unwrap these. Man, these things smell amazing, and they look even better. Got a nice bend to them, but not breaking. Now, one thing I do like to do is after they are wrapped, go ahead, put them back on the grill with a little bit of seasoning on top, or sauce. If you like sauce, you can go ahead and add a little bit of sauce on top, put them back on the grill for 15 to 20 minutes. Let that sauce tack up depending on how you like your ribs. I like mine most of the time without sauce, but when I'm cooking for people that do like sauce, I'll throw some sauce on here, throw them back on the grill for 15 or 20 minutes, let that sauce tack up so it's not all runny. But I'm just going to add some extra seasoning on top of here, the same Heath Rowell's competition rub that we used before. Throw these back on the grill and kind of let that caramelize on there. Just look at these ribs. I mean, you can't beat that, really. Got some bone pull here. Not as much in the middle here, but some more down here. Got a nice bend to them. So we just took our ribs off the grill. They look and smell absolutely amazing. The fact that you can get these kind of results from just using a smoke tube and a propane grill is incredible. We started our cook today with taking these out of the package, removing the membrane on the back, trimming up any excess fat that we saw. We cut a bone off of each end. That little flap that's down here usually gets burned up and pretty dried out. So we went ahead, trimmed that off. We rubbed them down with some mustard as a binder. Then we seasoned them up with some coarse 16 mesh black pepper and Heath Rowell's competition rub. We then went outside, filled up our smoke tube with our pellets, got that lit, added that to the grill. Our grill was right around 250, 275 degrees. We added a water pan in there. I like to use the water pan. It just kind of keeps more moisture in the cooking chamber and cooking environment for the ribs. We didn't spritz them at all. Went out there. They cooked for right around 2.5 hours before they reached an internal temperature of 165 degrees. Once they reached 165 degrees, took them off, threw them in aluminum foil with butter or parquet butter, brown sugar, and honey. Threw them back on the grill until they reached an internal temperature of 208 degrees. Took them off, added a little bit of dust to seasoning on top, threw them back on the grill, let that seasoning caramelize on top, and this was the result. All right, let's go ahead and cut into these and see how we did. Look at that. I mean, super, super juicy. I mean, look at the moisture in these. That fat. Even in this end bone right here. This was the very last bone. Go ahead and cut this other bone off. Let's see how we did. Wow. I can't believe you can get that kind of flavor off of cooking ribs with a smoke tube on a propane grill. I mean, clean bite right there, not fall off the bone. Super, super moist. Very tender. I mean, you can't beat that right there. For a smoke tube and a propane grill, if that's all you got, you can make some awesome ribs. Look at that. Clean bone. I mean, the amount of moisture in these things is truly incredible for, like I said, the method that we use to cook these. I mean, these are great ribs that really anybody will love if you were to cook these same way. Like I said, go on Amazon, get a smoke tube, get a bag of pellets. Doesn't matter what kind of pellets you have. I was using Pit Boss competition blend. I get it in the 40-pound bag, and it's usually one of the cheaper options out there. But I haven't had a problem with them thus far in my pellet smoker or in the smoke tube. And the results that you can get with just the smoke tube are awesome. Like I said, you can get one of those on Amazon for 20 bucks, bag of pellets for 20, 30 bucks. Sometimes you find them on sale for 10 bucks, but these are very tasty ribs. Thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.